Hello, my name is Jim with NFLDraftFanatics.com, and welcome to the Mrs. Are Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. During the college football season, this podcast highlights draftable players which match up. Our goal is to cover the draftables, players 1 to 400 on the initial big boards, hoping to show which players are improving draft stock before the Senior Bowl kicks off draft season. None of the players discussed have officially declared for the NFL draft as of the time of this recording. So thank you for joining us today. This episode is going to cover the Ole Miss versus Wake Forest matchup for week 3 of 2024. And we're picking this matchup for a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons is we're going to cover the top 300 players at some point in the next several weeks. This is likely going to be the only episode that discusses Wake Forest, unless a matchup comes up later that makes us decide to do an additional podcast on Wake Forest. This will definitely not be Ole Miss's last time being covered on the podcast. So let's talk about Wake Forest initially, and let's talk about Jasheen Davis, the edge. Okay, 6'3", 259, plays edge in a 4.25. This is going to be a reasonably deep edge class. And, in most years, there's 20 to 30 edges that get drafted. So Davis is going to be one of the edges that's drafted. So he is likely the only player from Wake Forest that gets drafted. The other players that are being shown for Wake Forest right now I have in UDFA range. Now let's flip it and let's talk about Ole Miss for a little bit. So Ole Miss has 5 players in the top 100. So there's a reason that they're so highly ranked, right? The top 5 players that you see for Ole Miss are likely going to be top 100 NFL draft picks. So let's start at the top. Princely Umanmielen. And I'll work on that name and try to get that right the next time I do it. So as an edge, I've seen him on boards with either a late first to an early third round grade. There we go. So definitely keeping an eye on him going through the draft cycle is to see where he falls. Right after him on the board, Tre Harris, wide receiver from Ole Miss, coming in at 6'2", 205. Prototypical X-wide receiver. Definitely, it's rare to find X receivers in the draft, right? There always seems to be more slot wide receivers or Z wide receivers than there are X. So watching Tre Harris, as well as Antwane Wells at wide receiver for Ole Miss, catching passes from Jaxson, who I have inside the top 100. That's definitely something to pay attention to. And then right below them, tight end Caden Prescorn, tight end from Ole Miss. This is going to be a deep tight end class. It might be missing a player at the very top, right? We're not going to see a Kyle Pitts, Brock Bowers go in the top 10, but very similar to the year that Sam Laporta and Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid came out. There was a run on tight ends from the late first round all the way into round 3 and 4, where a lot of tight ends went off the board. And I think this class is showing that type of depth at tight end as well. And Caden Prescorn is right in the middle of that. So he's definitely jockeying for position amongst several other tight ends, and tight ends come in all shapes and sizes, depending on, do you want your inline blocker, do you want your move tight end, H-back, those types of things. So I would definitely be taking a look at the top 6 players for Ole Miss, but let's not skip Kari Coleman, the linebacker from Ole Miss, Ulysses Bentley, the running back from Ole Miss, Micah Pettis, the offensive tackle from Ole Miss, or J.J. Peggs, the defensive lineman from Ole Miss. So let's keep our eye pretty much, I would say, on the top 10 players from Ole Miss. I do not have a draftable grade. I'm J.J. Pegus, the defensive lineman, 6'2", 315, prototypical one-tech body. But at the same time, he's got a little bit of quickness to him and transfer from Auburn. So he can definitely play himself into a better draft position, and definitely something to keep our eye on. So my name's Jim. I'm with NFLDraftFanatics.com. You can follow me on Twitter or X at NFL Draft Fanatic. There's no I in Fanatic on my Twitter. NFLDraftFanatics.com is the home of the only interactive mock draft simulator. So what that means is the fans control the big board. The fans control the ratings of the player. As people use the simulator and do a mock draft and they pick players, those players move up. If you don't pick a player, they move down. And through that algorithm, that's how our site figures out what the big board is. Okay, it's by fans using the draft simulator. It's the only simulator like it. And if you have any questions, please like, follow, and subscribe this channel. There will be detailed explanations as to how certain pieces of the simulator work. There are definitely things on this simulator that don't exist in any other mock draft simulator. Okay, my name is Jim. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, every day is draft day if you have the right attitude. I appreciate your time. Have fun this weekend, and tell me what college football games you are watching in the comments. Thank you.